Welcome to Movie Monday. This week we watched Snowpiercer, a movie that I think this is the third time I've seen it.
I
Uh,
think you mentioned you saw it twice
yeah.
before.
So I don't actually know how I found this. I think my dad might have told me about it. I don't remember, but yeah. So I've seen it twice on my own. Um, Last time I saw it though was at least like a decent number of years ago. So I don't know,
Yeah,
five,
I didn't realize it came out in what
13,
2014.
13.
13 or
So yeah, I
14.
think I saw it like right about when it came out, and then I saw it maybe like 2016-ish or something, like a second time. I don't know, but yeah. And I think we should do kind of like a sort of non-spoiler part of this. There's not really like
Mm,
of any big like major twists or anything, but I just think it's if you haven't seen this, it is good to go into this without knowing too much about it. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
um, but I guess with that in mind, I don't know what since you didn't really know too much about it, what did you think?
Well, I guess going off of the years and stuff, the effects are really good in this movie. Like it didn't age. I would have thought that I would have
Like
like
it came out like yesterday, for example.
yeah. So the effects are really nice, especially compared to like Miss Peregrine's.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Which
Uh,
came out after this movie.
like 3 years
Yeah.
after. Oh god, yeah. I mean it helps that like in terms of like the CGI that they would use in terms of like the environments and stuff, it's not like there isn't that much of it.
Mm,
Yeah.
So the most of the shots are, like in the train, right? So
yeah.
yeah, but like the set design and stuff though is for that though is really good. So
Yeah. I was gonna say like the fact that the because it feels like you're in a train. It feels like you're in like an enclosed space and everything too.
Yeah, because it's very narrow and like just cramped in general.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's like
interesting how they utilize that space.
utilize the space and then also like they showcase like the difference as you go up the train too. Like
Yeah.
it's not all just like oh this part of the train has like leather seats and this part of the train has like carpet seats or something like that. It's like you actually see the difference in the environments. I didn't expect to see an aquarium on the train.
Yeah, that was unexpected.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, is this like kind of like a Noah's Ark kind of thing going on?
That's kind of what I thought too. It's kind of like a Noah's Ark, except I guess more centered on people than on like animals.
Yeah, I mean the premise of this, so the base premise is that like the world's frozen and the only thing that's really around is this train that's going all over the world kind of nonstop and the people are sort of trying to survive on that and then there's stuff that happens. So, yeah. Um yeah, so that's definitely kind of what they're going for at least in that sense, but I do wonder I don't know, I'm watching this again like and saying this now makes it sound dumb that I didn't realize this before, but like I guess I kind of got it more concretely and like more specifically, where that like this is very like clearly an allegory of like like totalitarian government,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like specifically how it's kind of framed in the way that it is. I think works really well, and I'll go a little bit more specific what I mean by that when like we kind of get into like again spoiler stuff for people who have seen it, but
Mm.
because there's like a specific kind of pieces of that I actually think make it like even better than just kind of standard what it is.
Mhm.
But
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. I like the setup is interesting enough in the premise, but it's at the same time though it's not like this like hard sci-fi like like why you've said that like there's stuff where it's like you need to memorize 8,000 terms or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
this
like that.
this felt kind of more like fantastical for some reason. Like just I guess the idea of like you're on a train and there's like an aquarium and like a greenhouse and then things like that. It's for some reason it felt more fantastical, I guess, with its presentation and
It kind like the way that it reminds me of Polar Express, kind of.
like a gritty polar.
Yeah, like a really pretty Polar Express. I haven't watched Polar Express in a long time, but it kind of reminded me of that, which is why I was like, yeah, I agree. It feels very fantastical for that reason, too.
Yeah, and like there isn't a ton like for example like in terms of the characters like a lot of the side characters there's not a ton with them, but there is like enough that like you kind of, you know, through actions and like what they do and how they respond to things, you sort of like get a taste of them anyway.
Yeah.
So like the thing that I thought of for this specifically is like the guy who gets his arm messed up.
Yeah.
How like when he ends up confronting, I don't remember the name, but it's the person played by Tilda Swinton. Like his reaction with that and what he does, like it's stuff like that where it's like you kind of get a sense of people, even if it's not like here's a character arc. You know what I mean? It's kind of different, but it still works.
Yeah.
Because I feel like also since the story is focused on the main character and the specific scenario they're going through, you know, if they were like, oh, and let's do this like subplot with someone else, it's like that feel kind of like what's the point, right? So without doing that, it still is a way of like, you know, making you feel where everyone is.
I have like a pun with that because it's like they were on a one-way track because it's a train, so they couldn't do any side tracks.
But
I just have to say, Tilda Swinton, that's like the brown-haired lady, right?
Yeah.
Her character was like, you kind of don't like her, but at the same time, she's so interesting to watch.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Because like she's totally like drunk all the Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah, basically.
So it's like it's interesting kind of seeing her like kind of justify everything.
Was she also the ancient one in Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
'Cause, like,
Yeah.
it was so like weird seeing her two different roles, because in the other one she was such a subdued, calm character, and then
Like
now she's kind of like
character.
high off her ass.
Yeah. Yeah, and
It was also interesting seeing Chris Evans like not being Captain America too.
not being Mr. Positivity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give sad Chris Evans a hug.
No.
Yeah. So that and let's see what else was there that I wanted to mention. Oh, just the tone. Tone is maybe not the exact right word, but like the atmosphere or whatever. Like
The atmosphere, yeah.
it's really tense like the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like
it
doesn't really give you a break, I think, until the very end.
Right, because even like stuff that's sort of like a mild break, there's still this like sense that like something bad is going to happen.
Yep.
Like the main thing I think of is like with the kids, like the school.
Yeah.
Like that's something where it's
Yeah.
like, look at this moment that's like not bad, and it's like, yeah, but like it will be.
I guess it's also because of the setting, because it's very claustrophobic, and in a way, because of the train being so narrow, even the audience feels a little bit like cramped.
Mm.
And then during the sequence, it was like, yeah, let's look at these like people who are literally frozen outside
Oh my god.
Yeah,
and talk about that.
yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that like that's added where, you know, for example, do you feel like you like understand like the entire history of everything that's happened on the train? No, but like you feel like you have the pieces that like would come up naturally and are still like give you an insight into things as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's a really good balance of like mystery but also information. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, I don't know, the action, like at first it kind of like at the very beginning it felt like it was like the editing and the camera work was a bit too fast, but like I don't know, as it progressed, either I kind of didn't really care as much, or maybe also it was sort of a stylistic decision where like in the beginning where everything is super chaotic, like that's the point, but as things get more focused, then it's like easier to tell what's going on. Maybe that's sort of like
seemed to slow down.
yeah, so maybe that was like
Yeah.
a filmmaker, you know,
I
decision
think
in that sense.
also as you like progressively got more and more like closer to the front, the film itself got like brighter too. Like it started off really
Yeah.
fucking gritty, but then as time went on, you started actually being able to see people's faces and what's going on around them and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's well done.
Hmm.
And yeah, just like I don't know, as like a intense like gritty action movie, I think this is like personally I think one of my all-time favorites of this kind of movie.
Hmm.
It just again like there are definitely moments that are rather intense, so it's not like it kind of reminded me of Man on Fire in the sense that like
It kind of reminded me of like
Yeah.
Children of Men.
oh yeah, where it's like it is
smash
it
those two
That's
movies
true,
together.
right,
yeah.
it is intense and it is like, you know, pretty gritty, but like I mean for Man on Fire it was more like we're, you know, showing this to show like the emotion of the character, and that's not what's showing here, but it's more like the weight of the situation,
Yeah,
right? So it doesn't feel like gratuitous about it.
yeah.
Oh, one scene that I wanted to talk about, which isn't a spoiler, it's like the shootout that happened on the opposite sides of the train.
Oh,
Like,
Oh, that was really cool.
yeah, that was pretty cool. I was like, what are they? Oh,
yeah. They, like I think you kind of mentioned this before in terms of the design of the train, but not just the design, but also just like because you think like, oh, it's like an action movie in a train. Like, how can they like keep this interesting for 2 hours, right? But they do. They switch things up and they do things that you wouldn't really, you know. It's more than just people shooting at each other in a train car. You know what I mean? It's more than that. So
yeah.
so yeah. I don't know any specific. Well, I guess not specific, generalized thoughts that you have before we go into maybe some more reveal specific spoilery stuff.
Oh, one thing that I found interesting was like how there's no language barrier, actually. Like, because there's like a conversation between like I guess the two main characters, of which I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Minsu, I think. Is that
Yeah.
her?
I think he was speaking in Korean and Chris Evans was speaking in English, and they were just having like a conversation with each other. I just found that really interesting.
Yeah, well, because they showed like the translator thingy early on, so I presume that like whenever that's sort of implied that like that's just, you know.
It's a good
what
thing
it
they
is,
have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because that's the thing I remember. So like the versions of the film that I've seen before, because there are moments where like, you know, the two, like the guy is talking with his daughter or whatever, where like they're just having a conversation in Korean, and like I didn't have subtitles in the versions I saw before, so like there was like a decent like some like character development that I just didn't know. So like the fact that like the whole conversation he has about like the people who like tried to escape the train, and how sort of like the whole thing about like the drugs and like why he kind of kept them, you know, like that's something where it's like I should have known this when actually watching the film before, but now I do. So yeah,
it took you to a different level.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess your overall opinion.
I look forward to seeing more of Bong Joon-ho's work.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
I think he's a very good director.
yeah, and definitely because it seems like, you know, I mean, I've seen this, and
You saw The Host?
yeah, I saw The Host, but it was like a while ago, so I want to see that again actually. But it even though it is like, you know, that one is like not an action movie really. I mean, there's action in it, but anyway. And then of course Parasite I don't think is an action movie either. I mean,
That's okay.
I mean, because again, I kind of plan on seeing that at some point, so like I specifically haven't really been looking into it. But yeah, so it definitely, like, you know, he has a good range of what he can do and stuff. But I'm also curious if, like, you know, I watch The Host again and maybe watch Parasite. Like, can we see, like, oh, there are some things that are similar between all of them? And I don't know. I guess we may find out.
Woohoo!
But yeah. So if you want to see again like a gritty, intense action movie that I think is one of the best that I've seen of that kind of genre, then I definitely suggest this.
I guess it's also like post-apocalyptic kind of.
I mean, it is in terms of the setting, but it's not like
Yeah.
super relevant in terms of like the actual plot. I mean, okay, it is, but it's not. I don't know. It's not. Whatever.
I guess spoilers.
Yes. So the main specific
Spoilers.
thing I wanted to mention for the totalitarian theming was that, like, because the whole thing about the framing of totalitarianism is that, like, you need the government to be this way or else, like, nothing will work, right? And like society will devolve into chaos. And the thing is that, like, so the whole premise of this is that like we need the train to exist the way it does. And at first it's like, okay, you think it's just like the social status kind of angle of that, right? But then like when they reveal the thing with the kids at the end, and it's like, oh wait, no, they like literally need to do this or else like the train won't work. And so it's based, and again, so the idea is that like the world's frozen, so if the train doesn't work, like literally everyone is going to die. So it's sort of like it's a more extreme version where it's like, actually, again, in this framing, you do need this totalitarian system in order to not die, right? Yeah. And so it's like, are you still therefore willing to change it, right? So it's sort of taking the argument of like the pro-totalitarian argument that, you know, regimes have used and making it like real, I guess. I don't know. So it's like that angle of it I thought was interesting in terms of how that works.
And it's also interesting because in the end, Chris Evans, like, he decides that the change is still necessary.
Yeah.
And at the very end is when they first step out of the train, like, Young and Yona and
Timmy?
Yeah. When Yona and Timmy just step out of the train and everything, that's like the sense where even though there's like the explosions and you still see like the fire and everything, that's like the first time in the film where it actually just feels calm and not tense or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ending was... Whew, the ending was heavy.
Yeah, it's like you feel that like when they're breathing in like the fresh air, you also breathe in the fresh air with them. It's like, oh my gosh.
I was like sad too because I really like the dynamic between Min-soo and his daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because again, like how it's they're introduced. It's like, oh, here's these druggies, right? It's like, who cares, kind of. But yeah, it ends up working in a way, and because like sometimes. It's like a lot of times for characters that are like that, it'll be like, oh, there's actually a tragic reason or whatever that they're like turned to drugs, and it's like they don't do that, right? It's like they're addicted to this drug, and they don't try to like justify that or anything. It's just like they are, but, and then they kind of show that like, or not but, and here's stuff about their character and dynamic that like you know works anyway. So yeah, and I don't know. One thing that I think is interesting is that like. I wonder if you thought this, but like when, in the beginning when they like tried to, you know, call Wilford or whatever, and like, you know, oh, listen to his words, and like he didn't respond or whatever. I wonder if like, did you think that like Wilford was actually like dead and didn't exist anymore or something?
That's kind of what I thought in the beginning, like he wasn't alive anymore, so it was kind of surprising to see that he was still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's kind of interesting thing where it's like, you know, oh, you expect the twist to be that like, oh, he's like actually dead the whole time, but like no, he and the thing is like he's kind
ignored them.
He's kind of just like a normal-ish person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, I think it's kind of interesting where it's almost like you're expecting it to be like worse or more extreme than it is, right?
It's kind of, I guess, like Wizard of Oz. You're like, oh, we're going to finally see the wizard. Oh, it's a normal person.
Yeah, but again, it also, I mean, again, going back to the totalitarian thing, it also shows that, like, you know, you don't need to be, like, a super evil, crazy person to, like, you know, perpetuate that. So, yeah, and I don't know, I just, like, what we said about the characterization and just the intensity of everything, because that's another thing, like, almost everyone dies, so even ignoring
everyone except Yona and Timmy die.
Again, even ignoring the fact that like at the very end, like all the people who were in the trains when the train derailed like probably died. Even ignoring that, like, you know, the characters that like are, you know, at least named that like we are kind of with the main group or whatever, like almost all of them die. So yeah, that's something that's it keeps you second guessing everything, that like, because it's like, oh, very clearly you know, they're not infallible. And yeah, the I always think the whole classroom thing is like really unsettling.
Yeah. Like as soon as we entered, I was like, shit's gonna happen, this is not good.
No.
Yeah. And just at the same time, though, there's kind of a visual, like, interesting visual of the pregnant lady pulling a machine gun out of like a thing of eggs. It's like, what? it's
Teacher, yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird. It's like, what? I don't know. It's odd, but yeah, it's very strange, but it works in terms of like, yep, here we go. I don't know, but yeah, like I said, I do really like this. But you definitely have to kind of be ready to watch it.
Yeah.
So it was actually like a bit more like intense than I remembered it being, but I don't know.
It kind of hits the ground running in terms of how intense it is.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just like I really like this, and I don't really know what else to say. Just I think it really works really well as sort of this very tense, gritty action movie.
It's a tense, gritty action movie that also makes you think, I guess.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, okay, it's one of those things where it's like, obviously the system in place is like, wrong. So it's not like, it's not one of those where like, oh, is it bad or whatever. But like, it's more so just like how the different characters react to it. Again, like Tilda Swinton's character, and again, like the Wilfred guy, and like other people. And it's like just how they sort of respond to it, and is just kind of interesting to sort of think about. So, yeah. I don't know. Oh, do you want the, is it time for the fan theory?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what is this in relation to?
The fan theory is that this movie is a sequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
What?
So you mean Wilfred's character is Charlie?
Yes. So,
Oh.
of course, the premise of the world, of course, is kind of the main thing, right? Now, people have noted that, like, in the Willy Wonka movie, like, it was already, like, kind of snowy, so, like, that's something. But, like, no, that's not really anything. Because I think, because when that movie was, like, what? 1950s?
Something like
that? I think,
that?
60s? Something like that. So, and this movie is supposed to take place in, what, 2037, I think? So, if Charlie is, like, a 10-year-old kid then, like, it's possible. I mean, like, Wilfred doesn't look like he's, like, 90, but, I mean, then again, since he is the head of the train, you'd think that, like, he probably would get, like, the best medical stuff they have, so it's, like, maybe. But even then, like, because the main thing, and the big thing that kind of pulls it together is, Wilfred mentions that, like, he needs the kids to run the train because, like, those parts went extinct, right? That's his wording.
Yeah.
And the thing people think of is, like, wait, is that what the Oompa Loompas used to do?
No!
Oh, God.
And so, because they're, like, they're small kids. And the whole thing is that the Oompa Loompas, they live in, like, they can't take cold environments, right? That was a thing. So, like, it's there's more to it, but like that's the big main thing, and it's like this actually like makes sense, which is like frustrating.
Oh my God.
So yeah.
But Charlie went loco.
Yeah, that's the main thing. That's
emotion.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I guess like Willy Wonka himself was like not all there. And, so if Charlie is, like, clearly, there must be some similarity. I don't know. Like, that's probably the weakest part of it. But, like, I need to look at that video again that went over it, because there was more to it. But, like, the main thing was the whole thing with the kids and the Oompa Loompas, so. And then, of course, again, the whole, like, W, iconography, right? So, yeah, I don't know. It's so absurd, but then, so it's like, because again, when you first hear, you're like, what? That makes zero sense. But then it's like, wait, it kind of does, though.
Oh my God.
So, yeah. I think someone, like, tweeted it at Chris Evans or something, and he did respond with, like, that'd be interesting. But, like, so it's like, But, yeah. Of course, there's no confirmation. And I don't think it was made to be that way. So, yeah, I don't know, anything else that you want to mention before we rate it, I guess?
Definitely interested to see his other films.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to add.
Okay.
I appreciate the polar bear at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they had to show that, the world wasn't completely dead, so...
Life exists.
Polar Bear is like, see, you guys, finally, I have peace.
Just join my family.
Yeah. Now my environment is not in danger anymore. Now my whole world is my environment.
The world is my oyster.
Yes. You and your penguins are probably doing fine too.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Maybe
Yay.
now there is a penguin kingdom.
Yay!
So who wants to enumerate first?
I think I'm gonna give it an 8. Pretty good film, and would see again if I'm in the mood to like sit. It's
Yeah.
definitely a movie to like sit. You need to sit down and be ready for it.
Yeah, I was thinking it's like, this is kind of like the last kind of film I think Tara would choose to see.
Yeah. Like if there was a majority vote and I'm like, okay, if I mean it's a good movie. It's not the first movie I'll pick, but it's a good movie. Okay, we'll watch it. All right, just let me ready myself.
This is like definitely up the avenue of like the kind of action movie that I like, where it has like interesting stuff going on, and also like there's at least one character dynamic that I like a lot. It just happens to be a father and daughter thing. And I'm a big
like-
sucker for that.
It's kind of like, I don't know, in terms of the tension or whatever, it's not the same exact kind of tension, but it kind of reminded me of like Mission Impossible Fallout a little bit.
It did.
Oh yeah, it did.
But yeah, so I guess it's like that crossed with Man on Fire for you or something. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Oh man. I think I'll go with. We watched what's it called? Children of Men a long ass time ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's about right. What I thought. I'll probably give it like a low 9.
Okay. Because again,
Especially because of the ending. Because the ending, I was just like, I was first of all like devastated that Minsu died, and then I was like, oh wow, it's so pretty outside.
Yeah, it did. Children of Men is a good comparison, actually.
Yeah.
To this. I feel like I might want to watch Children of Men again at some point, like kind of soon. I don't know, but yeah, I also am kind of like on the boundary between two numbers, and because the thing is, I know I like this movie quite a lot, so in like the background where we have like our favorite stuff or whatever, it actually is in like my favorite movies section. And I was like, is there a way that like I could maybe figure out from where I put it there, like what number to give it? And I think is I put it. Hold on. It was after Spider-Verse, but it was before. War for the Planet of the Apes. Okay. Oh, and Joker. It was after Spider-Verse and Joker, but before Dark Knight and War for the Planet of the Apes. And I'm just like, damn it, Spider-Verse I gave a 10. And like Dark Knight and like War for the Planet of the Apes I give a 9, so I'm like, that doesn't help in terms of narrowing it down. So I was just like, and then so my ultimate decision is again in sort of like comparing, in terms of like the specific genre of this sort of gritty action movie. And how I said that like I think this is like my favorite one of those kinds of movies. I think because of that I actually am going to give it a 10, but it's like right on the boundary, and maybe another day I'd give it a 9. So yeah. But
Hey.
You committed.
I did. I gave it a 10, but yeah. So okay. I guess I was again because of like the type of movie it was. I was legitimately curious, like what you would think of this, and if you would, like this as much as I did, or I guess not quite as much. But because again, I was like, maybe you'll just like kind of be turned off by this or not, and I wasn't sure. So you weren't, which is good.
Hey.
But yeah, I guess now it's time to random the next set of things. Oh, I have to say what I'm replacing it with.
What did you
Yeah.
replace
Right.
it with?
I haven't told these people yet, partly because I didn't know. But I am gonna commit to Okay, I'm gonna commit to some movie that's kind of similar.
Okay.
And this is a movie that I have not actually seen all the way through. I think I've
Okay.
seen the first like third of it.
Okay.
I'm gonna replace it with District 9. Do you know anything about District 9?
I know that the title sounds familiar, and I feel like I've seen like a poster or a trailer for it, but I don't know. Is it an alien movie?
Okay, so the premise of it is that like aliens have landed, but they're like they basically are kind of helpless, and they're being kept in um like South Africa, and it's sort of an allegory of like apartheid.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because when you said District 9, like, I got Hunger Games
Oh,
flashbacks,
no,
and
it's
I was
not
like,
like that.
oh no.
Yeah. So it's very again, a lot of people have like praised it quite a lot. I know there's like some people who think it's like not that great, but again, I saw like the first like third or so of it. I don't know when exactly, but like 2011 maybe. I think what it was actually, I think it was on like a plane ride that I saw part of it.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh.
but yeah, I definitely did not see all of it. So this is one of those movies that I was always like, I want to see like the rest of this and actually watch it all. So I'm gonna pick District 9. But I definitely wasn't confident of what to pick because there's a lot of other stuff swirling in my head. There was another movie that I was thinking potentially that was another one where I'd only seen a part of and I wanted to finish, but I guess that'll be for another time. So for now, we random our next couple choices. So for our next choice anyway, what do we get? We get
Wrong.
5. Wait,
5.
I think
So it's a
that's
random one.
Joker.
Oh my god, okay.
I guess we're just kicking ourselves down with even more intense, not happy movies.
Maybe I should choose a happy show or something.
Oh yeah, because your show is the
that
next
might be
one.
a good idea.
Okay, that's oh boy. Okay, well this is definitely another movie where I'm going to be very curious what you think about it.
Oh boy.
Huh? Okay. Well, interesting. Very interesting. I guess because again, I remember specifically, I originally did not put this on the list because I thought like you two are not going to like this, right? But then I saw it and I'm like, actually, I think you might. So, yeah, and there's one scene that is a bit much, okay, but I think it's fairly telegraphed when it's going to happen. So,
Okay.
and I'll tell you what the keyword is basically to look out for. So
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, interesting, very very interesting. Yes, so next week is Joker, and then the week after that, Mai will show us Sunshine and Rainbows.
SpongeBob. No, I don't know yet. I haven't picked what I'm gonna do yet.
Okay, well, see you then, I guess.
Bye.
Bye.